If you have deep devotion for God, you can ask Him anything. Every day I bring new questions to Him, and He answers me. He is never offended by any sincere query we put to Him. Sometimes I even scold Him for starting this creation. Who is going to suffer the karma for all the evils in this drama? You, the Creator, are free from karma. Why then did you subject us to this misery? I think He feels very sad for us. His desire is to take us back, but He cannot do so without our cooperation and self-effort. Though I blame God for creating delusion, that is nevertheless the state of affairs. That is not going to change. So rather than blaming God for putting us in this mess, it is better to blame ourselves for choosing to remain in it. We are the ones who must free ourselves from delusion, and the only way is through wisdom. The more you will deeply seek understanding from God, the more you will receive His answers. The true devotee, even when enmeshed in many doubts, never loses his devotion and determination. Even true devotees think sometimes that God does not answer their prayers. He does answer silently, through His laws, but until He is absolutely sure of the devotee, He will not answer openly. He will not talk to the devotee. The Lord of Universes is so humble that He does not speak, lest in so doing He influence the devotee's use of free will to choose or reject Him. Once you know Him, there is no doubt that you will love Him. Who could resist the irresistible? But you have to prove your unconditional love for God in order to know Him. You have to have faith. You have to know that even as you pray, He is listening to you. Then He will make Himself known to you. He cannot then turn a deaf ear to your prayer. Our relationship with God is not a cold, impersonal one, like that between employer and employee. We are His children. He has to listen to us. There is no way that we can get away from the fact that we are His children. We are not merely creatures created by Him. We are a part of Him. He made us princes, but we have chosen to become slaves. He wants us to become princes once more, to return to our kingdom. But no one, having renounced his divine heritage, will regain it without effort. We are made in His image, but we have somehow forgotten that truth. We have succumbed to the delusion that we are mortal beings, and we must sunder the veil of that delusion with the dagger of wisdom. To attach any reality to the outward show of life expresses lack of true wisdom, but God has so impressed us with His Maya, the cosmic illusion that causes us to see as real that which is only a play of light and shadows, that it is very hard not to be influenced by it. When you are hungry, it is Maya that makes you think you will starve unless you eat. Yet there are many persons who have fasted as long as 70 days. I have undergone long fasts, and after 30 days there is not even any sensation of hunger. But if your mind believes you cannot live without food, you will not live. That is a common delusion. Its basis is solely in our minds. Because of the small number of exceptions to what appears to be a rule, science declares that human beings cannot live very long without food. There are cases, however, of people who live entirely without eating. Therese Neumann of Bavaria and Giri Bala of Bengal are two saints of the 20th century who live without eating. We ordinarily think we cannot live without breath also. Yet when in deep meditation we practice Kriya Yoga, we know it can be done. Saints of East and West have often entered the breathless samadhi state. Mortal life is simply a system of suggestions that makes us think we must conform to a certain pattern of eating, breathing, and so on. But as soon as you meditate and permit your consciousness to retire within to its source, the immortal soul, you realize that you are not subject to these limiting patterns. You know then that fire cannot burn you, water cannot drown you, that both health and sickness are dreams. In the lusty heat of our desires and moods, we have formed a conception of the world that is not true. The truth is embodied in the wisdom of the great ones that reveals to us the world as it really is. Had it not been for the training I received in this wisdom, I would not have liked to remain in this world. The truth is, only fools are attached to this world. Fools are those who live in ignorance, those to whom the world is real because they think it is the only way of life. Ignorance is like an eczema. The more you try to get relief by indulging its demand to be scratched, the more it will itch, but the more you leave it alone, the less it will bother you. That is why Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, "Get away from this ocean of suffering." Be in the world and do your part, but do not be caught up and bound by its delusions, or you will be enslaved. Those who live on the sex plane all the time think they can't do without sex, but one who abstains and transmutes that energy never desires it. Smoking brings on the same delusion. People who have never smoked or who have broken the habit never miss tobacco. You must cease to think you are a mortal being if you would find lasting happiness. Practice this truth in your daily life. It is a battle you have to fight throughout this life and incarnations to come, so it is better to start now. Do not put it off, thinking that you will start meditating tomorrow. Tomorrow will never come. Long ago, I passed a whole year in this attitude, and still I was saying, tomorrow. Then I made up my mind. I will start meditating today. Since then, I have never missed a day. You must first resolve in your mind the importance of God. You must realize inwardly that He is the greatest need of your life. First, practice the presence of God in daily life by making your meditations very deep. It is better to meditate a little bit with depth than to meditate long with the mind running here and there. If you do not make an effort to control the mind, it will go on doing as it pleases, no matter how long you sit to meditate. Next, practice long meditation with depth. That is what takes you to His kingdom. Until you learn to practice meditation, both long and deep, God will not reveal Himself to you. Gandhi devoted 1 day a week to silence and meditation. All saints who have found God sought that silence. I give my nights and mornings to Him. It is not possible to do exactly that in the business world, but if you will try, you will be surprised how much time you will find to devote to thoughts of God. We delude and deprive ourselves when we think we can wait until tomorrow to make that great effort to be with God. Delusion is destroyed by good company, by the company of saints, and by devotion to the messengers of God. Even the thought of saints will help you to remove delusion. It is not personal association so much as attunement of thought with the messenger of God that destroys delusion. The true guru has no desire to place himself in the hearts of others, but rather to awaken in their consciousness the consciousness of God. Master Swami Shwar was like that. He was one with us, never any show of his greatness. If anyone in the ashram wanted recognition or a high seat of authority, Master would give him that position. But I wanted the heart of Master, the divine consciousness he had within, and as a result, he is forever here in my heart. That is the attunement you want with the great ones. Along with periods of meditation, you should think day and night of God. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Night and day, I look for thee night and day. We must uplift our consciousness so that even the most worldly duties are performed with the thought of God. There are two kinds of duty, that which you do for yourself, which keeps you bound, and that which you do for God. Duty performed as an offering to God is as spiritually beneficial as meditation. God loves that devotion which makes of action as well as silence an oblation to Him. But you cannot find Him by good works alone. You must give your deepest love to Him. He wants you to surrender heart, mind, and soul. He wants to know that you love Him. You have to seek Him in both activity and meditation. When inwardly you walk with God and also carry a heavy load of earthly duties on your shoulders, He loves you even more. So before you perform an action, while you are performing an action, and when you have finished that action, think of Him. The Gita says, "He who watches me always, him do I watch. He never loses sight of me, nor do I lose sight of him." Meditation must be practiced every day. Start now. Do not look to the future. Begin this very moment to think of God. In this thought, you are a king. Why be a prisoner of mortal moods and habits? Is it not true that when you introspect, you see that you have done things you did not want to do? To carry out one's resolutions is a constant battle. It is good to resolve to do a thing and then follow through. You must develop a strong, silent, cool will. Never give up your good resolutions. Cultivate the will to think of God during activity. It is extremely important that you make this a part of your daily life. Don't follow this course a few days only and then forget all about it. Follow it as best you can every day. Even if you slip back into old habits, keep on trying. You will become spiritually strong and healthy in due time. God responds when we make the effort. Then you know that He is. He will no longer be a myth. He will respond invisibly to your desires, playing hide and seek with you. And after that, he will come to you openly. Your past mistakes do not matter, but to continue in those mistakes is the greatest sin against yourself. For when you do wrong, it deprives you of true happiness. You have the power to hurt yourself or to benefit yourself. It is up to you to keep away the ants of ignorance that bite your flesh. If you do not choose to be happy, no one can make you happy. Do not blame God for that. And if you choose to be happy, no one can make you unhappy. If he had not given us freedom to use our own will, we could blame him when we are unhappy, but he did give us that freedom. It is we who make of life what it is. You may ask, why, if we have free choice, do things not turn out as we wish them to be? It is because you have weakened your will, your consciousness of divine powers within you. But if you strengthen your will by practicing self-control and meditation, it becomes free, and as soon as your will is free, you are master of your fate. But if you find that day by day you are living a life against your conscience, you will never be free. You must take time to do the things that are good for your own welfare. No one stops you but yourself. You make yourself a prisoner of your own moods and bad habits. That is why you must train your will to be more elastic. Keep your will under control by doing the best things in life, thinking more of God, meditating more, practicing self-control, and so on. Of greatest help in your development is the habit of mental whispering to God. You will see a change in yourself that you will like very much. No matter what you do, God should be constantly in your mind. When you want to see a special show, or to buy a dress or a car you have admired, is it not true that no matter what else you may be doing, your mind is continually thinking how you can get those things? Until you fulfill your strong desires, your mind will not rest. It ceaselessly works toward fulfilling those desires. Your mind should be on God night and day in the same way. Transmute petty desires into one great desire for Him. Your mind should continually whisper, night and day, I look for thee night and day. Mental whispers develop dynamic power to reshape matter into what you want. You do not realize how great is the power of the mind. When your mind and will are attuned to the divine will, you do not have to move a finger in order to create changes on earth. The divine law will work for you. All the salient accomplishments of my life have been achieved through that power of mind in tune with the will of God. When that divine dynamo is on, whatever I am wishing has to come to pass. When this new temple of ours came to my mind, there was a force behind it I knew could not be stopped. I saw the great will of God working. Things that the mortal mind could not even hope to expect were nevertheless done. Whatever you intensely believe in your mind will materialize. Jesus said, "Whosoever shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith." Do not discourage yourself by entertaining the thought that you are a sinner and that God will never come to you. You then paralyze your will. Sin is a temporary delusion, and what is done is finished. It doesn't belong to you anymore. But you should not commit the same error again. Deny karma. Too many people misinterpret the meaning of karma, adopting a fatalistic attitude. You do not have to accept karma. If I tell you that somebody is standing behind you ready to hurt you because you once hit him, and you meekly say, "Well, it is my karma," and wait for him to strike you, of course you will get a blow. Why don't you try to mollify him? By pacifying him, you may lessen his bitterness and remove his desire to strike you. When you realize yourself as a child of God, what karma have you? God has no karma, and you have none when you know you are his child. Every day you should affirm, "I am not a mortal being, I am not the body, I am a child of God." That is practicing the presence of God. God is free from karma. You are made in his image. You also are free from karma. The best way to remove your weaknesses is not to think about them, otherwise you will be overwhelmed. Bring the light in, and you will feel that darkness never was. In that thought is one of the greatest inspirations of my life. If light is admitted into a cave where darkness has existed for thousands of years, darkness will vanish instantly. so will our faults and weaknesses vanish when we bring in the light of God. The darkness of ignorance can enter nevermore. That is the philosophy of life by which we should live, not tomorrow, but today, this minute. There cannot be any excuse for not thinking of God. Day and night, rolling in the background of your mind, God, 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 instead of money or sex or fame. Whether you are washing dishes or digging a ditch or working in an office or a garden, whatever you may be doing, inwardly say, Lord, manifest to me. You are right here. You are in the sun. You are in the grass. You are in the water. You are in this room. You are in my heart. And when great love for God comes in your heart, you do not miss anything. No matter what you have or do not have in this world, you nevertheless feel fulfilled. Divine love transmutes all material desires, even the longing for human love, that mortal passion which so often brings pain, either from its fickle nature or because it is snatched away by death. Loving the Lord, you can never turn back to being satisfied by lesser loves. In Him, you will find all the love of all hearts. You will find completeness. Everything that the world gives you and then takes away, leaving you in pain or disillusionment, you will find in God in a much greater way and with no aftermath of sorrow. Life seems such a tangible reality, and yet it is elusive. Every minute is precious. Today you are, tomorrow you are not. I remind myself of this every day. One by one we slip away. Others will come, and we shall go. But the body is only a garment. How many times you have changed your clothing in this life? Yet because of this, you would not say that you have changed. Similarly, when you give up this bodily dress at death, you do not change. You are just the same, an immortal soul, a child of God. Reincarnation means merely a change of mortal dress, but your real self will never change. You must concentrate on your real self, not on the body, which is nothing but a garment. I sometimes think that sense perceptions are the worst enemies of man because they make us believe we are something we are not. The sensation of cold makes us think we are cold, and the sensation of heat makes us think we are hot. If we would but deny these sensations in our minds, we would feel neither cold nor heat. One night long ago in Duxbury, Massachusetts, I went to bathe in the ocean in the moonlight. Dr. M.W. Lewis and his son Bradford accompanied me. The water felt very cold, but I reminded myself that everything is made of electricity, that the same electricity that makes cold also makes heat, and the water itself is nothing more than a manifestation of electrical energies. Just as I was thinking these thoughts, Bradford looked at me strangely, then turned to his father and exclaimed, "Swamiji has a light around his body." The light of God had come over me as I refused to accept the sensation of cold and reaffirmed instead the truth that everything is made of divine electricity. But if you speak about these things too much, they are taken away from you. God is like a little child. He knows no guile. But if you play the slightest deceit or trick on him, he is gone. That is why it is so hard to get hold of him. You have to catch him in the net of your unconditional love. Love means craving for God. God appreciates love more than devotion. In devotion there is distance and awe, perhaps fear. In love there is unity, at one ment. Do not despair if you do not yet feel an unconditional love for God. Salvation is for all. If you choose to delay on this path of evolution, it is your loss. You cannot stand still. You have to go forward or backward. But you must be redeemed sometime. To be redeemed is to drop the ignorance that covers the soul. You cannot see a nugget of gold if it is covered with mud. And so long as the mud of ignorance besmears the golden soul, you cannot see it. You are unable to think of yourself as a soul because you know only the body. The human form is the mud that you have put over your soul, and that is why you do not know what you are. Wash away the mud, forget the body by meditation, and you will know what you are. How can you be anything but perfect since you are God's child? But you have to realize your inherent divinity. You must be very secret about your love for God, and you have to be very silent about His love. You must not speak about His being with you. Be like the great ones, who inwardly think constantly of the beauty behind the flowers, the light behind the sun, the life that twinkles in all eyes, that beats in every heart, the motion that walks in all feet, that works in all hands, the mind that is working through all brains, the love that is behind all loves. God is so great, so marvelous. To live in the realm of divine consciousness is to see this mundane world, ignorant of God, as a nightmare, and to have eternal freedom from its terrors. You waste precious time each day. Every little moment you spend with God will be spent to your best advantage, and whatever you achieve with the desire to please God in your heart will stand unto eternity. God is freedom from all misery. God is the wealth and the health you seek. God is the love you seek. The desire of the soul for God is behind all other desires. Worldly desires camouflage the longing of the soul to be reunited with God bliss. Only God can satisfy all the desires of this life and of past incarnations. I have found it so. So search for Him night and day. Nothing can match the experience you will have if you do this. God is the goal you seek. You cannot live without Him, and all things you desire, you will find in Him. He is playing hide and seek with His devotees. But someday, after this play is over, to each one of you He will say, I hid from you long, not to torture you, but to make our reunion in the end bright and beautiful. After your search of incarnations, you have come at last to me, and I joyfully welcome you to your home. I have been waiting long for you. You were not the only one who was seeking. Through all your life's experiences, it was I, wearing disguises of different loves of family and friends, who pursued you. I have been watching and waiting for you more eagerly than you have sought me. Many times you forgot me, but I could not forget you, my child. Beloved, of your own free will you have at last come back to me. We shall never again be parted. Every human being is loved in that way by God. He is waiting for you. Don't give the world your attention. Do your duties, but be with God. It is worth it. Every moment of your life should be filled with the thought of God. Don't waste your time. I am anxious to go back to God, not only for myself, but to show others the way to that eternal safety. I want to go to Him and to take others with me. Please pray with me. Glory to Thee, Lord of the universe, Lord of my soul. Thou dost love us and pursue us even when we do not love Thee. Lord of love, Lord of the world, occupy the temple of our lives. Be Thou the only King sitting on the throne of all our desires, for Thou art the only happiness, the only joy. Bless us that we find Thee just behind our thoughts, every day, every minute of our existence. Take away from us the cup of mortal delusion, but if we must taste it for a little while, bless us that with greater joy and relish we shall taste the eternal. Peace,